Nigeria Info.
Welcome to on Face and Nigeria Info. My face Nigeria Info. Let's you last week from the Vanguard and trade this morning. Nigerians have been free to me what I any to them to Vanguard. If I don't give the more material and because they are come to basically start when we're better to fight in terms
of this. All the different and this people themselves to stand in it's good to it's very smart.
No.
With some seriousness here. Thing the social hasn't entered. How many people don't have politics and the barriers I can be very blunt to so good thing electing remember Nigeria is an actually that the best individually. Lots of people are not playing at full time. For now I want the more Biden who does history.
Because this yesterday, Sans Fenifere back Akeredolu fourth presidency. NEF disagrees. That's Northern Elders Forum.
Look. Instead of all this group backing this or backing that place, why don't they all get together and let us have peace in our land? The issue is very simple. There's a lot of criminality going on in those states. Okay, but in the typical Nigerian attitude, everybody now wants to earn either fame or money or whatever from it. Why should you be backing one party against the other? Why should the Sun say that they're backing Akeredolu? What they should go do is have a meeting. Luckily, Akeredolu himself is a senior advocate of Nigeria. Why can't the Sun quietly, a group of very senior lawyers quietly, call the Attorney General and Akeredolu to order? A meeting of 1-2 hours will solve this problem. Now it's going to gradually become an ego problem. Some people are going to want to get a lot of mileage out of it, either money, publicity, relevance, or all three put together. It is the typical Nigerian response. We do not need this kind of thinking at this point in time. I will never be tired of saying it. I get criticized a lot of saying the same thing. So be it. We don't need this kind of, what we need is, look, and this threat, I hope people realize, every time you say Fulani herdsmen, the picture being painted is that, it's the Fulani tribe that wants to be at war with everybody. No. These guys are bandits. A lot of them are not even Nigerians. So the earlier all of us see it as a common problem and something that everybody has to come together to resolve, the better it will be. I am not surprised at what I heard. I'm not surprised at Fenifere, Sands, and so on and so forth. It's become the Nigerian thing now. Once something crops up, you try and go, try and stand behind somebody. Why some people are so restless that they will not rest until this country is divided along the lines, I don't understand.
Right.
And this country cannot be divided peacefully. Only somebody who is mischievous will tell you that Nigerians can sit at a round table and decide how to. It's not going to happen. So the earlier we learn to live with what we have and try to manage ourselves peacefully, the better I think it will be.
Right.
So I'm going to call on the Sun. They are very. I won't bother. I just. But with the Sun senior advocates, what you should do is go to grab the Attorney General, grab Akeredolu. It is a very simple issue. Before egos come in the way, and let us resolve this thing and have less violence in our lives. We have enough problems, like I said yesterday, and I've said every other day. We have enough problems on our hands than to import this one again and have a problem that might not, at the end of the day, if you allow the egos prevail, they might not have a solution. But I know Akeredolu is very smart. You remember what I read to you yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes, you remember what I read to you yesterday when they said, we are not telling these people to go. We just said that if you want to operate in the forest, you should come and register.
Right.
That is already a white handkerchief being shown. And the federal government should grab it, sit down, and let's look for other things to argue about.
Right. Now, let's quickly tell you that, remind you that we're streaming live on Facebook and YouTube. Nigeria Info 99.3 is what you need to type, and you'll be able to join us live on Facebook and on YouTube. Now, let's take this other headline from Vanguard. 2023, Oni Atalja okay Tinubu's bid to succeed Buhari. That's the headline from the Vanguard today. The Oni of Ife Oba Adeogunwusi and Atalja of Osogbo Oba Jimi Olanipekun described Tinubu as someone who is prepared for any task. Jimmy.
Now, so what do you want me to say now? I threw you under the bus there. Okay, let me go on. The truth is, the only is an individual. He has the right to endorse anybody. The same applies to the attire. But I hope they know that they cannot claim to be representing the people in such utterances and such beliefs. That is what democracy is about. Every individual's feelings and votes count, but the majority will have their way.
Right.
So I don't see why we should lose any sleep. Well, I'm not losing any sleep, and I don't think you are, on them endorsing to do. I think it's healthy. Though I'd rather not have traditional rulers. I'd rather not have them, interfere in political things, because it can be very messy. Because your constituents, your people, they are across all the diverse parties, and the less you get involved in these things, the better. The traditional, whatever it is a very sacred position, and we've always said that it's always better for the traditional rulers to be fathers of all. But like they say in Warri, nothing spoils. What is important for our people is to say to themselves, our traditional rulers can think what works for me. What am I going to benefit from this? And when I say I don't mean it in terms of material, but who do I think will work this country better? Who do I think will be able to fix this country so I can have a good life?
Right.
Because what do you have in this country? You have 10% having a good life and the other 90% suffering. But the 10% looks as if they are larger than the 90%. Do you know why? Because we allow them. If we want to practice democracy, let us practice it. If we want to practice autocracy, so be it. Or monarchy kind of monarchy. God. Well, yeah, I think but yes, but it's fine. It's fine, but dangerous.
Yeah.
It happened in Lagos. You remember how the Oba endorsed the former governorship. That is history. But see what it did to the institution of Obaship. Obas should be seen as fathers of all. Now, this is also the time for me to repeat what I've always said. For us to have healing, for us to have full healing in this country, I am of the firm belief that it might be better if by whatever arrangement we have a president of Eastern extraction. That's number one. Number two, Nigeria needs a new beginning. We need a new leader. We need somebody new and fresh. We cannot keep going around in the same circles. We need somebody fresh. We can't keep doing the same thing and hope to get different results. And I saw some politicians saying in the papers that, Tinubu should be rewarded for all his efforts. And I'm saying the president is not a reward system. What we need is a servant, somebody ready to serve the people, with honesty and purpose, experience, exposure, good bringing pedigree, who will fix this country. But the choice lies with us as a people. In 2023, if we like, let us go and start taking the loaf of bread with the 1,000 naira note in between it and a bag of pure water. We will pay for whatever we do.
Well, Jimmy, some have said repeatedly that let any religious leader or any Oba, king, or whatever it is you want to name them, endorse anybody. It hasn't really had any impact, any significant impact on the outcome of elections on the long run. They can always endorse anybody if they want to endorse anybody.
Look,
on election days, the minds of people are totally altered to wherever they want to go.
If it wasn't for the fact that what I always carry in my left pocket is due for renewal.
Okay.
What I would have told you, what the question I would have asked you, instead of you asking me, I need to renew this in my left pocket. But what I would have asked you is, of what relevance are traditional rulers today? They are too far distant from the people. Let's be honest, I'm not talking of these gentlemen. I'm talking in general terms across the board in Nigeria.
Yeah.
An Oba who drives a Rolls Royce on an untarred road amongst his people with dust settling on them, the people can hardly eat one meal. You have Rolls Royce, the back of Rolls Royce, this and that, being flamboyant and so on and so forth. They're distant from the people. And I think it's time our people, started realizing that they have been bound to the Philistines and they have to take their fate in their own hands with support from God.
Right. Right.
Sheriff, I'm not going to talk about this.
Oh yeah, now let's go.
Busy.
Oh, yeah,
You know why you talk about traditional rulers? You have to be very, very careful.
yes, you have to.
Uh-huh.
You have to really. Now let's stay with the Vanguard a little bit longer. Nigeria's problems instituted by 1999 Constitution. Jonah Jang. He said Nigeria's problem instituted by 1999 Constitution. I'm going to quote what he said to bring proper perspective to it. He said, "The military cannot create constitution for a civil and democratic society. The 1999 Constitution, as amended, is problematic because it gives some people an undue advantage over the others. Such constitution as we have now cannot stand, and no matter the amendment, it will not work because our experience has shown that those saddled with responsibility would only pick some portions that do not suit them to amend, while those that suit them are left untouched, even when the issues are detrimental to the survival and well-being of other Nigerians." End quote.
Well, I think might jolly well be right when they're talking amongst themselves, struggling for power. But what I think concerns me more, and should concern a lot of people more, is the well-being of Nigeria. And I don't think the problem of Nigerians has anything to do with any constitution. I mean, what kind of people are we? We've reviewed our constitution now close about 10 times. Okay, we're still talking about the constitution, but simple good behavior we don't have. Simple good behavior. Is it the constitution that says that the first lady of a state should go take a vaccine in the United States with paraphernalia of video and so on and so forth, while her own people have been bound to the Philistines? Is it the constitution that says that somebody who wants to lead, who are here, is going to aspire to lead this country, also does almost the same thing and sends down the pepper them photographs to our people?
Pepper them, Abi.
It's pepper them. Look, the truth is this. For as long as you have people who think of themselves and what they can benefit, there is no constitution under the sun that will work for Nigeria. Let us stop letting them divert us from. Is it the constitution that determines the salary the lawmakers are getting in Abuja, whilst you cannot even determine the minimum wage? Is it the constitution that says that Wike should buy vehicles for his federal lawmakers, whilst they cannot pay pensions and salaries to the full? Don't let these people fool us. We should, under no circumstance, we let these people, if they want to continue to have arguments about politics and so on and so on, they are free to have that debate. But in the public space, what the Nigerian wants is what is going to better his lot. And what is going to better his lot is not constitution or whatever it is. It's going to be the resolve of their own leaders. Like some like what he mentioned. Somebody called me, some group called me one day. I said, "Jimmy, you come, don't you see? We are being marginalized in Nigeria." I said, "No, I'm not a contractor. I'm being marginalized in my own state. I'm being marginalized in my own local government. It doesn't get nearer to you than that." So we must be clear. I want my people to be clear about these things. To be clear that let the politicians, let them have all their debates and whatever. But what we want, because we're in a very dire situation now. We have economic problems. We have serious health problems. Okay, unemployment and so on and so forth. Security problems. So I'm not in any mood to start discussing constitution with anybody. There's a Yoruba proverb that says that when trees fall on top of themselves, you take the one on the top. And I think what is on top of it all now is how to feed, even give Nigerians 1 square meal. I'm not talking of 3 now. Let us just have 1 they can eat at 11 o'clock. That one will be dangling in between breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right, indeed. Let's go to Facebook and take some thoughts on Facebook. Then we'll come back and take some other headlines. Shegun Elijah said Tinubu has been preparing himself to be the president. And, okay, let's stop there. What do we have here? Adekeye Ademola says, has Uncle Jimmy traveled for Biden inauguration or what? Because the way he sounds implied he's not in the studio with Sheriff.
I'm in the forest too. I want to see my friend Akiti.
You are in the forest?
I'm in the forest. You know, those are my in-laws. So I'm in the forest, yes. I want to contribute quietly.
Contribute quietly. Jimmy, okay. Let's go pick up our next story very quickly. This morning. Here we go. We are with the Punch this morning, and let's take this one here. You like this one, Jimmy. Bafarawa fault 400 billion naira COVID-19 spending, calls it misplaced priority.
Who's that?
Bafarawa.
Who is he?
Well, Bafarawa is a former governor of Sokoto State.
Oh, who spent the money?
I'm guessing he's talking about the presidential task force. Oh, let me read the story. He faulted the 400 billion naira demanded by the presidential task force on COVID-19 to purchase vaccines for COVID-19, describing it as a misplaced priority. According to him, the money should be better used to tackle banditry, kidnapping, and other forms of insecurity in the country. Let me quote him. He said, "Why can't we divert this money for security? I'm saying this because insecurity in Nigeria is Nigeria's coronavirus. It is my advice, though, that the federal government should pay more attention to the issue of insecurity in the country, and the North in particular, instead of spending huge sum of money on coronavirus. Like any other country across the globe, Nigeria, sometime in March 2020, quickly put in place a committee known as Presidential Task Force on COVID-19, headed by Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Boss Mustafa. But within the COVID-19 period, which is about 9 months, a whopping sum of 3.5 billion naira is said to have been spent. This is without funding for research or other related efforts on drugs purchase or drug research findings for their manufacturers. Nigerians need to know how this 3.5 billion naira was spent, not just to hear figures. We need to have a breakdown. Let's stop there. End of quote.
Okay, well, yes. Look, listen, he's mixed a lot of things up. That the monies have to be accounted for, I can't fault that, but I know it's not going to happen. I'm not going to waste my time or energy on things that I know. That is the way we are. That is the way we are structured. Our people seem to be happy with it because they haven't done anything about that. Anytime you put money for any purpose, you know that a large percentage of it will go in directions that one might not be able to determine. So I have no problem with that. Where I have a problem with what he has said is when he talks about priority. And I'm a bit surprised as a former governor that he would talk in that manner. The COVID whatever is 10 times more dangerous than any bullets that can come towards you because it is unseen and because it is ravaging. The fact that we do not take proper records of those who have been affected by this, whatever it is, doesn't mean that it is not ravaging. It's ravaging the whole world. And everybody is trying to find ways of some kind of control. So I beg to disagree with him on that. But I think what is the problem at the back of his mind is thinking of, okay, all these monies you're putting towards this, I know it's not going to be put to good use. Maybe not. He's in government. He's been in government before. I have not. But when I see people on trial, when I hear that some former controller of customs is refunding 4 billion, another accountant something is refunding 2 billion, and so on and so forth, then there is a need for concern. But you will not get anything. Sheriff, I'm tired of beating my head against the wall. You will not get anything. So what I want rather with this COVID, rather than devote monies to this, what I suggest is, would you please license these vaccines so that they can be available at least for the little for those who can. Now, I'm not binding the rest of us to the Philippines, but the way it works out for me is this. They say half bread is better than none. Somehow, I think communities might even be able to put money together or arrange themselves and the less privileged amongst them, companies and so on and so forth as part of their, as part of their
corporate social responsibility.
Yes, CSR, about that would arrange for. So, let in the midst of all what we have now, let us even know that the vaccine is staring us in the face in Nigeria. After all, I read somewhere now that in Dubai it's just about $10. That's about 4,000 naira. Okay, so all the NGOs and they can organize for various areas. All the schools, something in Morocco. So many people. It might be easier for even the states and local governments might have enough funds to vaccinate their people.
Indeed.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that is what I would love the federal government to do ASAP. License these vaccines, make them available, for people. But then there's a lot of politics going on in this vaccine matter all over the world. It's not peculiar to Nigeria. All over the world.
But how do we ensure accountability? Because that's the crux of what Bafarawa is saying. The monies that COVID definitely will. Why can't we have accountability in this case? Is it that it is impossible, or we just don't want to do it?
Sheriff, am I hearing you or somebody is closing your voice?
You're hearing me. Why is it impossible?
Okay, because have you ever been able to account for anything, including your oil sales? You've never accounted for anything. The money you spent in defense wasn't accounted for. Your oil sales not accounted for. So why do you think this one would be any different? Out there amongst our leaders, government money, amongst most of our leaders, civil servants and so on and so forth,
right.
Government money is meant to be whacked. It's meant to be swallowed whole, not even chewed. Agbemini is meant to be swallowed. That's the way we are. We've been like that for years. It's not going to change because it's COVID. You can't account for your oil sales. We put a man in government, we voted him in, thinking with all his spend, whatever he did in the 80s, we'll have it. Till date, you still can't account for what's going on in the oil sector.
Right.
So we're not going to be any different. It's not going to be any different. But what I'm saying is that we have a problem at hand. People are dying in droves. This year alone, I've lost 10 people. Sheriff, 10 this January. 10 people.
That's sad. That's quite sad.
Yes. So we need to let's focus on healing ourselves first. Then we can put up our boxing gloves and begin to box ourselves.
All right, Jimmy. We must go now, Jimmy. Thank you so much for coming on the show. No, please don't warm up. Our time is up. Thank you so much, Jimmy, for coming around.
Okay, Sheriff.
All right, then.
See you tomorrow.
Yeah, bye for now. Lagos, we must go now. Many thanks to our sponsors, MTN Nigeria. Stay here.
Hey! Omo, make you no sleep on top bicycle. This better don't tie rapper. For those of you who never using an MTN SIM for over 15 days now, MTN don't charge. Come increase it.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.